Stewart, if you'd like to go first. And our attorney will let you know what the guidelines are.
Mr. Stewart, if you come have a sit down, you'll give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes. It's your opportunity to provide whatever comments you would like to provide to the board during a 3-minute period of time. I'll be using my phone as a timer, so pass this on over.
Hi, my name is Steve Stewart, 3408 Waterford Drive. I'm here to respond to a couple of issues that I've recognized in terms of dealing with government sunshine and the communication strategy here at the school board. I'm surely frustrated that I had to come out here. Tough place to find. Had to go through a couple of gates. I've been trying to investigate what's been going on with the bus system process that has been in the news. And I requested some minutes of some meetings for the agenda review here after I found a EduLog report that was presented here, about a 40-minute presentation that wasn't presented at a Tuesday meeting. When I requested the minutes, it took about a week, and they said they and so the minutes, which again, I have covered city and county government and understand the sunshine laws and the public records, usually are kept online. They were not online. There were no audio tapes on them. We waited a week. We got a phone call that said that there were no minutes taken, that there were audio tapes. And so, okay, well, wait for the minutes. So I believe Dr. Gale sent 3 sets of minutes to me that were wholly inadequate. I think even from legal term, I'm not a lawyer. They were nothing but a roll call of who was here, nothing on the substance of the meetings. Didn't even mention that EduLog gave a presentation even though it was on the agenda. So then we got the audio tape, which at times is very inaudible. Then we also found out that there's a number of audio tapes for these meetings that are missing, that are not loaded onto the school board website. And I've called about those and not got a response. So I'm very concerned, first of all, that I was concerned that you're having these meetings anyway with the elected officials. But now to know that there are no minutes being taken, they're shared online, I think it's a huge issue. Open yourself up to a lawsuit. Now, I'm not interested in suing anybody. I want to get things right going forward. The problem I have is the minutes that were provided is a slap in the face of anybody that understands what the minutes of the meeting should be. So I'd like to understand what you are going to do about it moving forward. The reason why I asked for this was because of the snap to the education system, or the education and transportation system, because of this EduLog report. Okay, I went and asked for all the press releases that have been put out by the communications department at LCSB since January 1st, 2019. There's been 3 press releases. Okay, none of them on the EduLog system, none of them on how they're going to affect the kids. I understand there were 2 memos sent out. I don't know who got those other than the parents. I don't know if any media did. No press releases whatsoever. The communications issue here is very stressed in my relationship with LCSB. It emanates from the communications department and Mr. Pelton. It started when I wrote an article about a situation. I would ask the board if I can finish my comments.
Give them another minute.
I wrote an article about the issue of Cobb School, based on sources. Mr. Petley called me and told me to take it down. It was wrong. I said, I'll put your statement up there. He kept basically harassing me. Went on Twitter harassing me. Okay. Turns out I have an audio tape, which I'm not going to play here. It shows that the article was right. Okay. Now today we have another Petley sighting. Okay, when he picks and chooses what he wants to address about another report that I've written. Okay, now this is not a communication strategy. This is irritating. It's frustrating to have someone in that position, not issuing press releases, not providing information, picking and choosing. One of the other issues, since now we're here and I can ask a question, is in that audio tape. Superintendent Hannon said we're not going to get rid of any elementary courtesy routes. Okay, well, I didn't have to ask for this information because I don't know that I would have got it. But here's the Southern Trail's routes before and after. The routes went from 38 to 16. There were numerous courtesy routes that were deleted. The other thing, pardon?
You were given an additional minute.
It took me 35 minutes to get here. This is why this meeting is not appropriate.
Mr.
And
Stewart, I understand your concerns, but you were given 4 minutes. Members of the public are given 3 minutes. You asked for additional time.
Ms. Williams?
Mr. Stewart?
with all due
let me speak.
respect, that doesn't, okay?
The board chair, you asked for additional time, the board chair gave you 1 additional minute.
Okay.
And so I timed that additional minute, the board chair set time, so your time is up. You have asked questions, or you provided your comments, and then you asked a question at the end, and I'm sure that the superintendent will get with you to answer that question and address your concerns.
You're welcome to provide any other written comments.
Sure, I have one more comment to make, if I could get one other minute.
No.
See, this is the whole point. This is, what you don't understand here is you are
Mr. Stewart, you've had 4 minutes total. I really.
See,
am
what
not-
you're doing, it's not a timing issue. You don't want to hear what I have to say, because see, we're sitting here going back and forth. Nobody will talk on the record. Ms. Williams, the president, I sent my phone call, nobody's on the record. Manager Hannah won't talk on the record. Ed Clark won't talk on the record. This is not the way to run the communications department, the LCSB.
Mr.
Okay?
Stewart,
I got
thank you
it.
for your comments. We heard your concern. You were given 4 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Rogers, Dr. Rogers?
You're up first, you have questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have questions. Sorry. So, everybody look at the question sheet, it has the yellow highlights, please. Question number one. The questions are,
The agenda review consists of questions that you all have when you're reviewing the agenda, so that's the first item. Number 3 is continuing concerns. New or continuing concerns, and all of the different requests are listed under number 3. So questions, what are your next, just behind that, the next set, those are the questions. And then the questions.
Okay? Thank you. Okay, so. Question number 1.
Yes, Madam Chair. I raised that question, Mr. Mycroft. Okay. I just needed a little bit more information. I did raise the question about Ollie, as to whether or not it would be coming to the site to correct problems if there are any. Given our last fiasco, I'm just being overly cautious about what this really means, and I needed a little bit more information about it.
Allied is a plug-in to our current school wires.
It is where is the?
Allied is a plug-in to our current school wire blackboard contract. And what that means is that after building a website, the reason why I'm looking at this ADA meaning that if you have a visual impairment or whatever your impairment may be,
Okay.
it's a point of contention across the United States where school districts and other government agencies are being sued because their website's not ADA compliant.
Okay.
And to help with that, Allied will analyze as you build your website and you choose colors. Something as simple as a blue versus another color gives it with contrast will allow someone with visual impairment not necessarily be able to see the words. So what Allied does, it looks at the choices you made as you do it and says, hey, you need to fix these things for this to be ADA compliant. And it works right within this offering. And so it's something that we need to fix because we're not the only school districts like this. Most people build websites like this. But to be able to become more like ADA compliant is what it's all.
I appreciate your answer, Mr. Timmons, and as I'm looking at this, I'm sure you got a big laugh, because I was thinking upon my first review that Ally was a company, and then I see a new product called Ally, which automatically determines where.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, thank you, I think I'm clear.
Thank you. Ms. Bowen, you have the next question too, and then it goes to Dr. Rogers.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The question basically was, will this initiative require agreement is between the Leon County Schools and Big Bend Community-Based Care. These are the individuals who bring to our attention the foster care students that come into the district. Most of our students come from the Bay County area, and neighboring counties. So we work with them in what we call, there are two major things based on ESSA. Best interest determination meetings, which take place so that all the stakeholders come together and talk about the students' needs and place them in the best environment that fits their needs. And then there's a school stability checklist that needs to be completed as well, all based on ESSA. And we have these conversations usually by a conference call. This collaborative, a cooperative agreement basically says that we are going to share information as needed and work to making sure that our students land in the best interest of their, for their academic services.
Does this mean, does this now mean that the Leon County School Board will have a seat at the community-based care table?
Yes, the community-based care, we work with them, yes.
But it's made up of a consortium of community-based programs, but will Leon County School Board be a full member of the local community-based care?
Right now, sir, basically I cannot respond to that. We don't have the, our liaison within my department for foster care is Grayson Cooper-Hagan, and she is the individual that is our contact for our district for foster care.
Now, if I may offer this for us to consider as a school district, I'm sure most of you are, everyone's aware of the whole community-based care, and what it provides an electronic record system for persons who are in any way engaged in that system, and they may come to the system from a variety of sources, either the courts, local not-for-profits, and such that a family or a child can be monitored in terms of all of the resources that may be made available to the course of that family. I think our being a part of that beyond just foster care may very well, I can imagine would be enormously beneficial. And then the information that we also are able to provide may also. So my point is that if there's a method by which we become a formal member with all privileges and rights and accesses therein made available, I think it might be something for us to pursue, for us to have to be fully engaged.
Thank you for that.
To meet the needs of our entire student population beyond just the ones that may come to us through foster care.
Okay, thank you, and I will look into that.
Yes, ma'am, and that would be a memorandum, I'm sure some type of memorandum that would perhaps come back to this board, but an update on that would really be worthwhile, I think.
Dr. Rice, did I understand you say that we have students from the Panama City area?
We have neighboring county, we have from Hillsborough County, throughout the state of Florida that come to us as in the foster care system. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Rice.
Dr. Rice.
We'll see you again. Ms. Bowen, you have the next question as well. And Dean McAllister is going to answer your question. Okay. To do with the MOU concerning the lowest 300 in differentiated counties.
You just stepped over there, we're getting there.
Okay, I'll skip on to the next question then. Oh, no, we are handling this, that's the last question. Okay. Would be the continuing concerns item.
All right.
Is she gonna, should we just wait for a minute or?
Yes, right here.
Oh, there she is. You're up.
I apologize, I was working with an employee.
That's your job.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Dean McAllister, Director of Labor and Employee Relations.
And what's your address?
Oh, I'm about to give it. This is how I am today. Okay, I spoke, there is a question. So, right, but we always need a little levity. But working with, in collaboration with the Leon County Teachers Association, there were some questions as it relates to the memorandums of understanding. Based on the statuses of schools, we're required by law to make sure that we're meeting the mandates placed upon schools to help them succeed. To ensure this, what we are required to do is to have a collaborative relationship with the Leon County Teachers Association. And we also work closely with LSPA, which is our support staff, our paras. And in doing so, we work with the academic services, with Giselle Marsh and with Jillian Gregory to look at how we can ensure that teachers and administrators are supported, thus the memorandums of understanding. And so I spoke with Ms. Bowen just briefly. She had a couple of questions and what does that look like? So just, Ms. Bowen, if you want to give me your exact question again, and then I can answer that.
Okay, I was interested in the kind of review that you're giving, but specifically, is this work done in a supervisory capacity by which office? Who manages what is going to be happening in this MOU?
Very good
And
question.
how will this affect teacher pay, if at all, in any way? And then my third thought was a question: how will LCTA gain the information needed to assist with students' performance and with teacher performance on
So,
professional development opportunities, just from reading that whole thing?
sure, so collaborative in terms of LCTA and Mr. Macer, who's the president of the Leon County Teachers Association. What that means is, so the MOU is created in collaboration with the school administrator. Each site is different, if you will. So we'll work with this principal that may say they think these things are important. We may work with another principal that says, this is not as important at my school as it is at other schools. So we work collaboratively with them, and then we present it to LCTA, which then takes it out to the body, the membership, and says, how does this work for your teachers? The start time, the end time, the supports in place, whether it's offering a reading coach, a math coach, extended time for planning, extended time for professional development. Anytime a teacher's pay is, or anytime teachers' schedules are affected, and that warrants them to be paid additional monies, that is the responsibility of the MOU to cover that. To make sure legally we're doing our part to ensure that teachers are compensated, as well as support staff if need be, to make sure that they're fulfilling the obligations of the MOU. Now, the monitoring of the MOU is by the site administrator, as well as academic services. And academic services is Ms. Gregory's department that goes in with support staff through Title I, through testing and development. That's Ms. Marsh is back there. And they go in and they work the data and work with the principal and the administrative team. And then also the administrators, the superintendent's leadership team will go in often sometimes and sit to review data and discuss how we can continue to support these efforts.
All right, just need a little bit more information about it and see how this is going to affect the lowest 300, so.
And I think, from my perspective, it worked really well last year, the collaboration, and it also gives teachers an opportunity to work through LCTA and their administrators say, this works really well for us, or we want to tweak this, or we want to continue to do this. Whatever the implementations have been, they have been successful as a result of our school grades.
Wonderful.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now Dr. Rogers.
Madam Chair, if I may, with your indulgence, not for that, but it's an agenda item. I have a question about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is it me?
no.
Oh, okay.
And it's just that on, it is the superintendent's spotlight on voter registration. As you will recall, this started as a conversation from the NIS, asking the Student Advisory Council to take this effort on. The resolution that is included in here in our document is the student resolution that was ratified at the statewide Student Government Association. As it goes forward, I'm asking that we amend it to designate the Tuesday following the Martin Luther King holiday as our date. And I'm gonna make that motion tomorrow, and I just wanted to make that a formal reference in the context of this meeting as a part of our agenda review. And that, and our resolution will then also be accepted by our local supervisor of elections, who will take that resolution to his meeting, and I will, at that same time, we would provide a motion to accept this with the addition, is that we would then be duly empowered to then forward our motion to our local, or to our statewide organization, the Florida School Board Association.
I'm just gonna ask for a process here, so.
Madam Chair, as it stands right now, this item is on number 3, superintendent spotlight, so it's not an action item. It's just something that was going to be, I guess, presented to the board. So if you may, it can either be added as an action item tomorrow's meeting or at the next meeting. Okay, so it will be added to the agenda under 19 with whatever correction you just noted.
Yes, the date would be the Tuesday following the King holiday.
Is there any date listed in that?
No, it just says mid-January.
Okay.
And that would be the amendment that to, again, as I've described, this was the student resolution that was submitted to their organization.
Yeah.
My suggestion, per what I thought I understood and what I received from Madeline, was to put the resolution, the student resolution, which was penned by her,
Yes.
on superintendent spotlight. It is there. As far as what you're saying, to amend that and add that date of Tuesday after the King holiday, can we add that to the September 10th meeting so that a vote can be taken?
Whichever way will get me what I want.
I still think that was it. I'm not following any of this. Whatever we can, however we can accommodate, if we need to move, take this item off and move it to January or whatever, I don't
No,
know.
he's just talking about the date that we're gonna recognize it, right?
Well, if Dr. Gill prefers that we recognize it as a superintendent spotlight, but there is an action item associated with it, because it is my hope that this body will then take it through its own acceptance of it to our statewide meeting. So that means that the Student Government Association statewide will have accepted this resolution that came from this DS. The supervisors of election will accept this resolution, and that we would accept this resolution this year before the school.
Mr. Chairman, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Why don't we, since we haven't, most of us haven't read the resolution, that we have it on the next school board meeting so we can formally adopt it, and we can go ahead and have that date added in, and we can just adopt it all at one time.
That's fine.
But
That's just point of clarification. It's already on the agenda for superintendent spotlight. Madeline is coming tomorrow. She's
And the
doing
supervisor of election.
Okay, they're coming tomorrow, so we can talk about what happened this summer and what we'll do moving forward, and then have it on the agenda formally for action for September 15th.
That's fine.
sounds good. All right, great. So,
Does
Problem
that-
solved.
Problem solved.
But everybody understands what we're doing right
Yes,
now?
yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I do, but I want to know, approved by both student government associations in District 1, is that the district of all Leon County? Is that the state of Florida? Well, who knows? I mean,
Who knows?
It's not positive that we get like the southeast of the country.
well, I think we probably need to read this a little more carefully, in my opinion, just from the 30,000-foot level, to make sure that we know what it is. I guess that's
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I'm discussing.
And that's part of the benefit of it
Okay.
being on the superintendent spotlight, so that she can provide that explanation. It is likely that there's going to be some adjustment to this before it comes to you all.
Or April.
Great.
Okay.
That sounds great to me.
Good.
Okay.
And thank you all.
Okay, Dr. Rogers, you're up. We're going to do this in point states.
So,
Yes, several detours.
trying to get here. Avoid the dog chicken sandwich place.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. What's your name? Okay, in front of you, you have some public sheets. Public sheet, first one, right, is just this past school year. It shares with you what the number of suspensions were at school, and the number of students that would be involved in those suspensions. For example, Appalachia, when you're looking at a black male non-Hispanic, there were a total of 77 suspensions at that school, and it just involved 43 non-Hispanic black students. Do you see the breakdown? Yes, you got male, female, as it applies, other, they're mixed students, of other persuasions, you have white, non-Hispanic, so on and so forth. And the breakdown, because I believe that's one of the questions that were asked, that you wanted to see the breakdown by school, by student, by race.
Just a clarifying question. So if we take the first line as an example, black males, non-Hispanic, 77 suspensions, but it was only involving 43 young men.
That's correct.
And I'm just looking to see the totals anywhere. Or you should say a total of all the schools.
Okay.
But
So-
go ahead and go with your presentation, I'll ask the question.
So that is broken down throughout your, the yellow color sheet. Now, if you flip to the pink sheet,
Got it, okay.
there you have the total number of suspensions, of out-of-school suspensions for the students. Okay? Now, the purple sheet shares with you the number of students that have more than one suspension at each school. So it's broken down even further. So, just at Griffin Middle, for example, you have 138 kids that had more than one suspension within this past school. If you want to go back and look at first example at the top of the yellow sheet, and just look at Appalachia, drop down by middle of the page. Total number of students within Appalachia alone that had more than one suspension is 23 students. Okay. Now, that's just a breakdown for this student. I see some looks there.
So, just to recap, let's take Griffin's at the top. We have the number of suspensions there, the number of students, and then 138 of those were suspended more than once.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Rasmussen.
Just, well, maybe it's not my class. So 239, I'm looking at Griffin on the pink sheet, 239 students were suspended 630 times.
There were 630 suspensions total for 239 students.
I said the same thing backward, I think. But anyway, the point is, so 239, it's just a big jump. Okay, so,
It's what you mean, it's multiple offenses. What's that reflecting based on what was asked of me was how many students did these numbers reflect? And that's what I'm giving you. You had 630 incidents of suspension, and it involved 239 kids.
And
138 of them had multiple offenses.
More than one, that's correct. So I broke it down even further.
All right, I'm with you.
if I may also, because I think you and I specifically brought the issue up, I guess, because I'm failing to make the translation between numbers and climate. And therein lies my concern. In my conversations and in reading the manuals and documents that you have given me, there are a variety of disciplinary options made available to principals. And my concern is that what could be the subsequent translation from children being suspended in great numbers and subsequently in somehow affecting student achievement. And so when we talk about what could possibly be the disparity, particularly if there's a racial disparity between minority children compared to non-minority children, and the discipline options that are being meted towards them. So the superintendent has told us as a board that he has spoken to principals about using the variety of options made available to them, because he too makes the correlation between students being absent for outside suspension, possibly in some way correlating between student achievement. But at the same time, when children are bad, there has to be consequences in that. But I just wanted to make certain that the numbers do not necessarily communicate that what my question wanted to discover is that are site administrators using the full array of options made available to them, such that we can bring down the numbers of students who are absent from school because of discipline. And although these numbers provide some insight, then you have to make the comparison, which isn't made available here, and what is the breakdown of the overall student population, comparatively speaking? You know what I'm saying? And so when we have concerns that are when you have data being presented to the public that shows a disparity, my concern is, does that disparity have an impact on our children?
Well, when you ask about the options, there's a district-wide discipline matrix. So, based on the infraction, based on the level of infraction, there are options within our focus, our main reporting system of reporting, that the administrator or the designee at that point will click on. So it could be, no, it's not that. If you want a discipline matrix, I can give it to you. But the discipline matrix is there, and that's district-wide. We've worked on that about a year and a half ago with the focus folks coming up with what the discipline matrix is, what the infractions are, and what are the reasonable consequences. So when you're talking about that, they have a myriad of consequences that would apply to that particular infraction, but it also depends on the totality of the circumstances of the student. Because this may be your first infraction, or for Kathleen, it might be her first. So therefore, you might get 1 day based on the infraction, but I'm at a level where I get 3 days. So it would vary. So I think what you're trying to ask, and it's not going to quite work, because you want to say basically, here is your discipline matrix, but it's on a case-by-case basis, because you got to know the totality of the circumstances involved, and one student who's doing the same infraction, they may have a different consequence based on where they are within that particular matrix. That's one. The other thing too is that principals, and it depends on who is applying that particular consequence. So you might apply it in one way or decide, and because the principals have that discretion. So to say that we're going to have the exact same thing, it may not necessarily be. So we've given them a framework by which to operate, but that may not necessarily be so. I do want to point out 2 years that you do have in your folders, which is 17, 18, and 16, 17. What you see is based on whatever, we had a transition from educators handbook to focus. So there are a number of things. First of all, educators handbook have a threshold. So it may be within that threshold that on a given day, that one school has gone over and beyond that particular threshold. So what you have is what we were able to capture. Some data may have been lost in the transition. So when I look back at, and it also depends on what time of year we pull the data as well. However, when I look at some of it and I compare
Time of the year.
time of year, because if you all ask me for the data in December versus March, you're going to have two different sets of data.
Okay, I thought that when you said the time that I thought time of year that maybe kids were, that they were something that warm weather or cold weather. I know what you mean by time of year.
That happens.
Yeah, I think it's-
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
But assuming this was data for these schools.
What, now we have that.
Okay.
Now it's very clear, is what we have in
Okay.
terms of end of the year, but you do have some disparity because you can transfer the data, but educators handbook, it's just not as concrete as this past year, because everything was in 18-19, that's why I took the time to share with you a full picture for 18-19. But I still show you 16-17 and 17-18 as well.
So I think one of the things we were all concerned about last time we saw this data was the drastic increase from year to year. But what you're telling us is we really can't capture that accurately.
I would not rely on it because of whatever transfer we've had, and also the fact that educators' handbook only had a threshold. So you literally have some schools that went beyond that threshold, break the bank, so to speak, okay? Now, what I
Did they have a different
methodology?
matrix also?
The matrix, it's definitely not the one that we use here.
Okay,
And I
so
would-
that's,
I would-
so it's
I would-
a little bit of apples and oranges.
And I was on the ground floor with educators handbook, but with this, I feel more comfortable because we had a district-wide collective that came up with the matrix, it went out, everybody gave a nod on it, so I feel very comfortable with that.
So after the 19-20 school year would be a better time to look to see if there's a trend of a consistent increase in suspensions between 18-19 and 19-20.
There you go.
The thing that we're missing, that I think is important, is we don't know what type of incidents are. So I think in some ways that's where we get to looking at, if I throw a rock at this school, do I get suspended, or if this school I throw a rock, I, get sent to timeout, or just as an example. But, I think it is important when we look at these incidents to know what the reasons were. And it seems like, so that's one thing that I think would be a good follow-up, to kind of, I don't know if you have the ability to do that with this data.
Trying to get there.
Okay, trying to get there,
Trying to
but
get
the assessor data that we report to the state, which was, been written about quite a bit. Wouldn't that be consistent over the years, because the assessor data,
When you say
look at its flex-
consistent, what do you mean?
well, don't you have to report certain incidents? Don't you have to report it
Yes.
to the state if it's, a bodily crime or whatever the words are? So don't we have a historic record of that should be accurate?
Yes, we do have census data, and that is reported, but once again, we even just had a meeting earlier, again, you have some folks are greater input in their data like they need to, some folks are not. So, I'm gonna jump ahead and respond to that, okay? If you don't mind. Look to the last sheet in your document, in your folder. Yes, it says draft. Now, I think what would assist us is keeping our finger on the pulse of this whole idea of discipline. So, oftentimes, like I was speaking to a colleague and he said, well, Kathleen, look, we did check the paper documents versus what's in the system. We need to put all the incidents in the system. That's what it's there for. So, for me, just a takeaway, as I was thinking about it after the fact, I came up with this sheet. And it basically is going to capture and have administrators really check what they're putting into the system. It's going to capture it for you as well. If you ask for it, I can pull it by district for your schools. But it'll be monthly, quarterly, and by semester. That's at the very bottom of the page. And then they will capture the data based on grades. They also have at the very bottom where they can capture the type of sex incident and the number of sex incidents, that would also be there. I can also add to this report the type of incidents that you are requesting, Mrs. Wood, in terms of what type of incidents that have been addressed or flushed out in the schools in that particular year, in that particular month, as well as quarter and by semester. So that information is there. We have a more regular way of collecting this data as I work with the APAs in having that information. So the reconciling, okay, what you have on paper, is that all of that in the system and does it match? Because we can pull those reports and we can say, does it match to what you're actually reporting? So that's one.
And one other thing. Also, on the race issue, it has to do, I think, sometimes with the percentage of the school. Like, if a school is 60% black, what is the percentage of students of that population that are being suspended? Because it really changes, right? Look at child. Well, if you have a different population, and let's say your black population is 20%. Of those 20%, what percent of those students are these? If you're really trying to get at the racial disparity, it seems that you have to look at what the whole is. Because you can't tell that, because our schools, as we know, are pretty segregated, and so the data gets, it looks funny, but when you look at the schools with the highest black data, schools are black. So I think we need to.
My question to relate to yours, I think, is the looking funny of the data when we start to talk about this information with parents. You know what I'm saying? I should not say most of the parents are not going to look at it that way, but to put it in a way that parents understand what I think we understand, and I'm not sure what that is right now, but to the extent that we are taking a look at, and this has been an ongoing question and conversation for a while, but in the application of the level of the consequences on the various campuses are handled, I don't know if fair is the term or not, but in discretion that is used by the site managers in determining how discipline is meted out.
That's why you have to look at
Okay.
what the type of incidents were that people were
Okay.
suspended.
All right, and have parents understand that when they listen to what we're saying to them, because I'm constantly being told that the majority of the expulsions and suspensions are happening to African-American children. That's what they think, that's what they say based on whatever information they've got. And I'm just asking for a way to help them understand what it is we're saying and we're doing, and if we understand that, and that probably is the way to do it, but put it at that level of wording.
School board member Bowen is accurate. When there's data being reported publicly, or in news media in the community that paints a picture of disparity, it's my hope that in these conversations we can clarify that data, because that data has both cultural, political, as well as reputation implications for the district. And so if there is when the superintendent says that he has talked to principals and cautioned them about using so that's what brings this conversation to bear, because that is, you even have this information being reported in other commission meetings, right? Based upon what they've seen on the news, right? And so what I guess as the stewards of this data, as elected school board members, it's an issue of concern for me, such that I can adequately report what that data is being reported from their legitimate sources. What is the implications of that? Is there any remedy to it? One, is it false? Is it specious? Or is it accurate? And if it is accurate, what do we do to respond to it?
And see, as a grandmama, when I hear that, I just heard that. That doesn't really mean anything to me. But that was, no, it was important to be said like that. But a grandmother, all right, I still see that we've got this high number of black students being expelled. What does that mean? How do we fix it? And why are we having so many here? And I heard that and I understand that. But you know what I'm saying? To grandmama and them, what does that really mean when you still look at the number of students that are expelled from Godby or Griffin or, okay, close that child and given the percentages? How do we break that down to have the public say that we think that everything is okay and we're doing what we need to do to fix it or to at least explain it? And I'm not finger pointing at anybody, I'm just trying to, I'm not finger pointing.
Point of clarification.
Okay,
You have suspension, you don't have expulsion.
okay,
We
thank
don't
you.
have in-school suspension, so that's, we do on one sheet.
We do on one sheet.
On one sheet, but, anyway, again, I think if we can put it in more context, which is some of the things the fellow board members are asking. If, for example, if kids are fighting, then I think parents all over the community expect those children to be suspended. That's just like, if you're fighting on campus, you're going to be suspended. And so if you can see the number of suspensions by incident, then you can tell, is it for chewing gum? No, I know it's not, but I'm saying that it's extreme. Is it for fighting, or is it for drugs, or, and I've seen the data displayed like that in the past, so, we change the systems all the time, so the kind of reports you get are different, but I think number one, that would help, and I think also you need to see, if you're looking at race, like you're looking at now, you need to know what percentage of the school, is the student body, so you can see what percentage of the students of that race is proportional. Does that make sense?
Well, in January of this same year, WTXL, this was prompted my question. There was a news story that talked about the racial disparity in discipline or suspensions of minority children, which prompted this ongoing discussion and report. Is if the numbers that they report are accurate, then some type of explanation, I would like to be armed with some type of explanation whereby we either say the information is accurate, but this is why, such that I can explain it to a constituent. Because for me, most specifically, beyond, one, it has cultural implications, right? But then it also has political implications as well. And I need to be armed with a response, because there was no response given to it. The story just goes out there, and it just stands. The district doesn't respond to it, and I don't know how to respond to it when asked about it. And I can tell you that that story has gained traction, those numbers have gained traction in both conversation and what people perceive about the district. And so subsequently, as a member of this body now, I want to be able to explain those numbers to the persons who are genuinely most impacted by it or informed by it.
If I may. So I've been with this school district a long time, as has Dr. Rogers and Dr. Gale and Scott Hansen and some others, and served as principals. First of all, I feel very confident that the way our discipline is being implemented on a school level is consistent no matter what the child looks like. I feel very confident in that. Okay, now, having said that, every principal is different, like every parent is different. Some parents, like my parents, were big fans of spanking children. Other parents were not spanking. My dad was a big spanker. So some of it is parenting, like at each school. Now, there is room for improvement, and for me, and I've shared this with my team, these numbers are not acceptable. We have to find an alternative method to administer consequences without suspension. Some incidents, though, you don't have a choice. If a kid brings a weapon to school, if a kid's in a serious fight at the school, if kids have some of those things. But I think there is definite room for improvement. I mentioned something before about our numbers mirror and kind of reflect what the numbers across the street look like as a community, right? That all in all, that unfortunately more African American youngsters are incarcerated as compared to others. Not to make it acceptable, but to say the school system is not an anomaly. We aren't just out there on our own. Why do we have all these numbers? I don't know if you saw the video that was on the news the other night about the horrible fight outside of Brawl Middle School before school started. where the parent was involved and the parent was arrested and charged. If you go back, Daryl, and if you look at the fights in our schools, unfortunately, most of them are females and most of them are black females. That's just, and I can't explain it. I can't explain it. Maybe it's other boys or he said, she said stuff and I'm not saying anything that these other people wouldn't tell you as well. But we have an epidemic with our black females in violence. And I don't know how to get our arms around it or to have discussions with parents. What happened the other day with that father boosting up the situation, it just makes it worse. But I can assure you that the way our parents and our principals at each site are different. Some are quicker to suspend than others. The ones that are quicker to suspend after this year, I can assure you these numbers will not look the same, or there'll be a new parent at some of those schools. Right? You look at Griffin Middle School had the highest numbers, and they had the restorative justice program. Yeah, they led the county in suspensions. I still don't grasp that. And they had a new principal, and we're working with that principal and the dean and others. I think they may have been suspending a child for a day if they were skipping school. And if that's the case, that should never happen. You should never suspend a child for skipping school. That's what they want, is to suspend them for a day for skipping school. Right? You put them in OFI or some type of program. There's a little pain and there are consequences, but it's not go home consequences. These numbers to me are very concerning. But I have full faith and confidence that all of our administrators, no matter what school they are administering their form of discipline, although we may agree or not agree, equitably across all levels of children and all races of children. I firmly believe that.
Well, I feel reassured by this conversation. I think this is a conversation worth having. It's almost as if in the words of John F. Kennedy, let the word go forth. That the superintendent and the school board are concerned about the issue. Dr. Rogers, who is our subject matter expert on the issue, is concerned about the issue. And that when we revisit this conversation a year from now or 18 months from now, that we will see a change. There will be some remedy to it, but that information as it is bandied about across our community, that this board and this superintendent are responsive. And that, for me, is priceless. And I think that goes a long way in satisfying what may very well be a perception relative to numbers, because that's the problem with data. Data comes without explanation. Data comes without stories. And for example, what you described, this then takes me back to a question that Dr. Cox will answer about the diversity of mental health counselors that we have in our school. If we see this as a problem, we identify this as a problem, then that means that we realize this is what we got. What then are we doing in terms of financial and human resources to remedy that problem? Are we soliciting the support of more African American females to provide mental health counseling for children who seem to be prone to this type of behavior? If we describe it as possibly mental health or behavioral, are we making certain that the response, so when he comes up, he'll be able to provide us some type of clarity to that, such that we would know that there's a conversation being occurred in tandem between Dr. Rogers and Dr. Cox to also, because I'm sure there's a correlation, and I'm not the subject matter expert. I'm just a political monk, right? But there's also a certain accountability for me to ask the type of question to ensure that those types of things do occur. So thank you for that explanation. I am thoroughly satisfied.
This is a delicate subject.
And I
want to try to, but I also don't want to dance around it. Because you haven't been in schools to see the reality of actually what's going on in schools. But they are concerning. How can we talk to these girls to say violence is not okay? It's not okay. Let's have those conversations with Cindy Bigby and others with nonviolent communication. That don't let some boy boost the two of you up into a frenzy where these types of things happen. You know, and then parents, we need your help too.
Yeah, Spelling needs to get talked to them.
So.
At the agency, I feel like 5 days a week, all year long. And
Make sure you speak in the mic.
superintendent, we heard some of this at the Children's Service Council
I talk, and I'm gonna talk about what I know in District 3. When Carmen Connor got to Pineview, she was amazed at the number of suspensions that she found there of her elementary school kids. And according to this document, there were 73 children.
I don't think those are for students.
What?
I don't think those are for students. Dr. Art just yellow from,
This is the number of outside suspensions.
but I don't think it's students.
This is what?
That's the number of, no, I think that's the number
What
of
year are you looking
suspensions,
at?
not number of students.
These are even
Well, let me finish about that. What she explained to me was that she's found the number abysmal, and that she chose to, rather than suspend her children, she chose to find other ways by which she kept her children in school, because she made the correlation that the student absenteeism from suspensions was affecting her school grade. She then went from what had previously been 73 incidences to what is now
24,
24,
23.
right? And so I'm just saying that I believe that there is, so based upon that description from a principal, well, I mean, if y'all don't think the numbers are specious, I mean, I'm just going by what was her professional commentary, right? In terms of what was a culture that she found there and the culture that she chose to change, because she saw a correlation between students being out and students being retained.
And what I want to say quickly before I forget it, when you have that same, total number of students with the same kind of makeup geographically and culturally, and they're at the other schools, and none of that is done, what is it that Connor was doing that caused her numbers to go down, that we can't implement or have those options applied at other schools to have to go down as well?
Well, it's much
One of
like,
the things-
that's what he described.
Yeah, okay, and
Kids
I
were
feel
being
that.
suspended for truancy and others.
Okay, and I follow that, and I understand that he's gonna be working on that, but one of the things that came up just this weekend again about these numbers and the high suspension, here we go again, Ms. Boyd, y'all gonna kick all the kids out, and it's always y'all, we do the kicking out, you know how that feels, but anyway. They said what you need to do, and this was day 3, and he won, you need to hire some more African-American male teachers. You just need to go out and hire some more African-American teachers. So, well, that could be an option, and we'll certainly bring that up. I say, but now, let me just tell you, I don't know why the African-American males and other males really are not called to be in the district based on pay and that kind of thing. But whatever we need to do to help these students feel that there is somebody who continues to look like them, not to suggest that others who don't care, I'm not saying that, but to put it out there like that, you feel.
Well, no. The problem is most educated African-American males
Wanna make
are not
more
gonna
money.
take a job for $37,500.
And they are not being recruited to the profession.
And we are begging, I mean, we are recruiting, we are doing when I beg for African-American male teachers. I mean, we
You
are,
gotta find some more money from somewhere. I hear you, I do,
but most educated black men, they're just not, they're just. I know, but I'm just saying.
Head of households, we understand that.
But you go to graduation and you see the people who have graduated from the College of Ed. I mean, even the College of Ed's graduation numbers are far different than they were when I graduated some 20 some odd years ago. I remember when the College of Ed was one of the largest colleges on Van campus. I went to graduation and there were 12 graduates earning bachelor's degrees in the College of Ed from Florida A&M University.
All female.
Right? So I mean, I agree with that point, but I know there's no point in making that point because they're like unicorns.
If I may,
Welcome to our world.
Do we have a behavior checklist for, I'm sorry, for the various, did we just discuss that? Behavior checklist for our students, and as I think about the counseling piece and all this that goes together for those behaviors that
Back to you, Dr. Robinson, you're right, so.
is that what she's gonna do? Okay. Is that?
Oh, and you had questions you've been trying to.
I've been trying to take notes while you all
Ramble.
do your thing.
I'm going to describe what I said as rambling. I think this
Those are not
conversation,
my words.
I know, they're
That was my
and that's why I'm responding to her.
In the most respectful.
Okay.
I do want to say I was taking notes, but, one, Mrs. Strickland, you're actually correct. The highest, if you look at bike incidents, your highest numbers are within defiance, disrupting the learning environment, biking. Those are your highest, where your highest numbers will fall. With respect to the Oasis Center of Women and Girls, and I think there's another program you mentioned, these individuals are currently, particularly the Oasis Center for Women and Girls, are in several of our schools doing circles with girls. And I know out of Fort Brady, and I know at Leon High School, there are a number of schools that are using those particular pieces. It is not because they are not out there, nor have been brought to the attention of our administrators. Again, we bring the resources to them. We have listed them. I have published 2 books wherein 2 manuals for our APAs where these resources are there. So these resources are there for them to use with contact information and things of that kind. If I may, because I know we need to wrap up, if you don't mind, you talked about promises. I mentioned to you the promises program before. So within your packet, you would see an outline in terms of what it is that principals need to follow before they recommend expulsion to students. Their on-campus events, I'm talking about this sheet, on-campus events as well as for regular students, as well as ESE students. Their off-campus events for regular and ESE kids. And then, of course, there are non-zero tolerance offenses, and I think that's where the lion's share of the suspensions fall actually. When there are non-zero tolerance offenses, we're talking about the kids who have the multiple referrals, and you can see I have several of them written here. Defiance, disrespect, classroom disruptions, dress code violations, believe it or not, skipping, fighting, petty theft, vandalism, and being a danger to themselves and others. So there are those incidences that kids do get recommendations for expulsion for. K-4, we've worked with them on that. However, we're choosing to go a different route when it comes to the elementary folks, particular. One, at the administrative summit, I think we had, oh gosh, I can't recall the name, but Tanja Fitzgerald had this young lady share data on mental health and some of the issues that we had, and the data was extremely alarming. But it also shares with me that we are going in the right direction when we're looking at a program such as the Promises program. So on the top of page 3, it tells you that for zero tolerance offenses K through 5, we do have kids at the elementary level who get recommended for expulsion. So this is like a 2-pronged approach, if you will, where the Sealy, Second Chance was on the Sealy's campus. It's now going to be on the Heritage Trails campus. Okay? I'm just making sure that you're aware of that. So for kids who are recommended at the elementary level, recommended K through 5 for expulsion, they will be served at Heritage Trails. Now, for non-zero tolerance offenses, this is where the rubber meets the road because it's requiring us to get a little bit more information. We need to find out what's going on with these gems. We have 2 pieces. If you just look at the left-hand column, if you will, these are students in the K through 6 area. They're going through tier 1, tier 2. There might be a suspicion of some type of disability, but we need to start documenting what is going on with the student. And that's a major piece that has been missing. We don't really get the documentation that we need. We just get referrals and consequences, but we need to get those anecdotals to find out what's going on with this baby. And then they have to go through the MTSS process, really digging deep, figuring out what's going on, and then there might be a recommendation to promises. In doing so, then we include student services in the ESE department. We have to get parental consent. There's a recommendation to administrators at the district office, and then we, at that point, go through those various layers, would make a determination of whether the student should be in a promises program or not. It's at Heritage Trails. And then we have those kids that we've seen an uptick of these children recently. These are the kids who are your outliers, who, if you look at these are the kids who something needs to be done like yesterday. They're tearing up the environment, they're a danger to themselves and others. So we remove them quickly so that we can get them in an environment where we can gather the data that we need to determine what path we need to put these students on so that they're more successful. So that in a nutshell is what the Promises program is about. It's a two-pronged approach, looking at these kids, principals and administrators taking the ownership of giving us more anecdotal information on these students and just say how arbitrarily we want them off of our campus. They're bad. So that's what we have. Then, of course, at the secondary level, it's pretty much the same thing that's on your fourth sheet. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's pretty self-explanatory as far as that is concerned. And that's what we're hoping to do so that we can reduce the number of kids that you see that in that whole area of expulsion.
Dr. Rogers, each time we've asked for this over the years, you brought us wonderful information, and you've done so today. And each time you've done this, we've asked to have you do something at the board meeting which further explains and shows where we are when it comes to this particular issue. Is that the plan for tomorrow night? We have many parents who are asking questions. The school is opening and we don't know if they read the student handbook, but is there any way we can provide the community with information of where we are right now? I kind of think it's necessary, but I can certainly be outvoted. I'm just trying to have a larger conversation.
There's one more thing I do need to mention.
Okay.
When it comes to the Promises program, when individuals hear about this, floodgates open. This is why we are really giving it a laser-like approach in terms of how we look at these students. So space is limited. I make sure I address that as well. We have limited space for this program. And
I saw that.
so we got to be careful as well in terms of how we share this information. And the last thing in here is what the schools, and give you an idea of what the administrators need to go through to recommend a student to the Promises program. There's a lot of information that they have to share with us before we can arbitrarily do this.
Why don't we do this, why don't we not tomorrow, but maybe the next board meeting, have her do something without going into the details of a promise program. And what we're doing to try not to expel kids. These are some of the options,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
to not suspend kids.
Yes.
These are big focus for 2019-20 in the area of reducing suspensions and reducing expulsions.
Yes.
While keeping all of our children.
Yes, we want them
Yes.
in school and we want
Right.
them safe.
So we'll do that for the next board
Exactly.
meeting.
There's a good reason it came so long.
Dee Dee, you're trying to say something.
Well, just real quick, two things, and I may have this wrong, but I'm almost positive, I hope I don't have this wrong, that Whole Child Leon just got an appropriation to expand a new program in partnership with the FSU Medical School around behavior modification for children ages in their service area group, which is 0 to 5. So moving forward, if we can, especially when they get to the 5-year-old, I don't know what information would be helpful for maybe everybody will be great by the time they get to us. And we'll be, but I just think that's important to connect with other programs that are happening out there. But turning away from this part of the conversation, wait, what I just said, yes, it's an integrated pediatric behavioral health program. Doctors refer kids 0 to 21 who have behavioral and or mental health issues. So maybe checking out with Whole Child Leon to see what and how they're doing it and how we might be able to benefit from that,
come into, well, if I don't put this in there. The message needs to be, put the information in the system. Whether the Boolean report is unsubstantiated or unsubstantiated, CESA asks you to do that, put it in the system. We have individuals who are doing a great job of writing it all up, but in terms of closing the loop, you gotta put it in the system. You have to document that.
Who does that? Is it at each school?
At each school, yes.
We had a meeting about Cesar just today.
Okay.
To talk about this, to make sure we're all on the same page, and she's gonna share that out with our administrators at the first principals meeting on September 4th to ensure that they're implementing the data. Right now, it'll all go into focus, and then Missy Atkinson will then upload it to DOE during each survey period.
Great. That makes me feel better.
And it's also going to be monitored, like I shared with you, monthly, quarterly, bi-monthly from my, making sure that there is a
And what sensor again? Students?
school environment safety incident report.
I
School
also,
environment safety incident report.
one thing that I think would be nice in the workshop that we're gonna plan is to find a principal or two who have instituted some alternative things and talk about the differences. Maybe it's fine, maybe somewhere else, because I really want our principals to see that we want to reward, we want to recognize when people do the right thing. And maybe it'll go, oh, well, I'd like to be recognized in school board meeting for my daily going.
Right, like someone should have told my dad, there are other alternatives than the belt. It doesn't have to be the belt every time.
Right, exactly.
But you didn't get no real trouble though, either did you? I'm just saying.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Rogers, and
Thank you.
we can add that last little piece in, I think that was nice. Okay, that was fun. Next? I believe you're on next, Ms. Gregory. Let's see, we need to take a quick little break, so come on out, you know. Just want everyone- 30 seconds.
No, I don't mean her. I mean the ones that are missing. That had to.
Take that 4 out of 5.
Madam Chair, school board members, before you this afternoon is a brief item update regarding an item for consideration for tomorrow evening. As you may recall, the legislature passed a new project called the Supplemental Schools Allocation, lovingly referred to as TESA in our district, right, in the state. And so in our district, we have ESSA, which is the every student to see that. We have SIG, which is a school improvement grant. We have Title I, which is federal programs, and Title II, and Title III, and Title IV, and Title IX. We have lots of titles, but this is something new. So before you do this afternoon, is a quick handout for you to review as we move forward. Essentially, the fundamental philosophy behind TISA is that schools that have had a history of up and down performance, typically when they're in a down year, qualify for a school improvement grant. And so those dollars really supplement the revenue a school receives so that they can do things like hire additional teachers to drive down class size, maybe at some of our schools, or hire paraprofessionals to work in small groups. And so what the state legislature did with this program is to say that there are some schools that are going to receive school improvement grants. Those are the schools that are D or F schools. But then there are some schools who have exited DA, differentiated accountability, who don't qualify for school improvement grant schools, but who need just a little bit extra resources financially to help them institutionalize the change that they implemented under SIG that got them out of DA. So, for example, there are a couple different ways to qualify for TISA, but if you'll note, Oak Ridge and Pineview are TISA schools, that is, they are turnaround supplemental student allocation schools, because they have gone from a low grade, either a D or an F in Pineview's case, to a C, right? So without TISA, they would get no more money other than the general revenue that they get through the school district budget and through their Title I federal programs, Title II, Title III stuff.
What about Hearts?
So may I come back to that?
Oh, okay.
Yes. So under differentiated accountability, bond qualifies. So in our district, under the TISA plan, we have 3 schools, Pineview, Oak Ridge, and Bond. This will be before you tomorrow night as an item of approval. The process for TISA is that much like with school improvement grants and with others, there's, the principal is really the driver of how these funds, these allocated funds are spent. And so in our district, our principals have got together with their community, either formally or informally, and that they have identified their budget priorities for this money, and that is what is before you as the agenda item. The state, before we can submit it to the state for approval, you as a board approve it as an item. This more than likely would be something that would be an item of consent in other years, but because it's a brand new program, we wanted to put it before you so that should you have any questions about what TISA is, because we have only talked about it in like the 60,000 foot when Jessica Jana Seawitz was here, and like as a legislative policy, not really how it's implemented. And so for TISA, what is before you for your item of consideration tomorrow night is the approval that the principals and the school communities have developed for the expenditure of these dollars. And so if you look on the last page of the handout, for example, Oak Ridge is receiving $226,287. Bond is receiving approximately $305,000, and Pineview is receiving approximately $149,000. And that is all driven by a purposeful allocation tied to the student enrollment. So Bond has a much higher student enrollment number than Pineview, and that's really why there's a difference in the allocation.
So on page 3, the TISA requirements and expenditure, those questions that are there, those are the questions that have to be answered in order for these schools to get those dollars? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, so the TISA plan requires that the school community answer the questions through, and how, so for example, number 3, increase parental involvement and engagement in child education. So as part of, for example, Oak Ridge's $226,987 allocation, the parental involvement cost is going to be about $28,000. And they've identified that locally.
Well, now, we're going back to my question, right, because I guess there are so many different acronyms and designations that describe our schools. I know that, I thought that there was an improvement in Astoria Park, Hartsfield, Springwood, and I guess, and what I find interesting about TISA, the constant complaint that I had heard was that they give you the money to make the move, but then that money goes away. So those schools I've cited, Hartsfield, Springwood, and then if Bond is implementing a district-managed turnaround plan, is Riley not doing the same, or is that a different type of description?
Sure. So
And Griffin as well.
So those are all really good questions. So let me circle back, and since you bring up.
And to put all those schools into context.
Yes. So Hartsfield, Springwood, and Astoria Park do not qualify for TISA because they have not been low performing for multiple years. However, we recognize under the leadership of the superintendent that that financial resources are helpful. And so what we have done as a district, what the superintendent has submitted as part of his budgetary process, is that those 3 schools, non-TISA, they are the superintendent, let's call it the superintendent's turnaround school support plan. Those 3 schools are getting an allocation of money to support their work. That is a completely local Leon County School District decision outside of all of these formal programs. So those allocations to Hartsfield, Springwood, and Astoria Park are because they don't qualify for TISA because they had been a C before they became a D, and then they went back up to a C. So because they went C, D, C, the state's saying, you don't really qualify. We're saying, but they need help. So the superintendent, through his budgetary process, has identified sources of, for this year, we're going to work through principals, how much money do you need, what do you need to do, what were the things that worked on your campus, what can we do to support you financially to achieve those goals for the second year in a row, and really institutionalize the change that you put in place last year. In terms of Griffin, Griffin had been C for multiple years. They were D1, they were D this year for the first time. And so again, Cs and Ds, but they've been C. And so because they went CDC, the state's saying they're not really in need of the kinds of support that Oak Ridge Bond and Highview would be because they had larger issues. The state would say by policy that they have more systemic issues to address. In terms of the last question, which was John G. Riley Elementary School. So Hartsfield's getting the dollars because Hartsfield became a C, and the superintendent's doing something with the budget to help them. John G. Riley, because they are a D school for last school year, they are receiving additional funding from SIG, which is a school improvement grant. And so they don't qualify for TISA because they are only a D 1 year. And so because Riley's only been a D for 1 year, they only get the school improvement grant money. Gosh forbid, if they're a D again this year, then they would get the TISA dollars should the program continue to exist in 2020-21.
Well, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just look at these dollar figures on this third page, which is interesting to see the zero out.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, I mean, so it looks like in the Unisig, is that the SIG dollars you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
So is Bond the only one getting that extra boost, that extra $346,000?
Of the TISA schools,
Of
this
the
is
TISA
not
schools.
TISA, of the TISA schools, only Bond is a TISA school.
Who else?
Do get SIG. Riley gets SIG for school improvement and Griffin Middle School.
Okay, so they'll get an extra
Yes, they get an extra.
$300,000 bucks.
It's a per pupil allocation. And so I'm not sure that Griffin is as big as Bond, but they all get the same per pupil allocation. It's just a different enrollment.
I'm really happy to see Bond getting over $1 million. So we have to get them all up.
Yes, ma'am.
That should make a big difference.
What I think would be helpful, not one, I get it for tomorrow's purposes, but I know it would be of particular interest for us, for those of us who have these target schools in our district, something that would describe what, I guess for lack of a better word, our district's action plan relative to those schools in terms of both resources, any information that you can provide in terms of human resources that are being made available to them, but what constitutes our action plan in response to all of those schools, to include these financial
So we have-
implications.
So we have many different documents. So we have our turnaround plan, which is right here. I can provide you
Is
copies.
that in here?
No, sir, because this was really about TISA. But I can give you, we have a priority school plan, so those schools are in DA. We have-
That's right, that's what we call it, priorities.
Priority school. So we have a priority school plan. We have our beloved triangle that drives kind of our plan.
Yes.
And then we also have a funding checklist, which is all of the different schools and all the different funding sources. So I think.
If you give us that, for me, that would be
I
helpful.
have my shop.
And if it can be in one file that way I can refer back to it as we do our part two.
So would you, to ask, would you like electronically or would you? like-
Electronic, so I can always.
Or do you want us to print it and laminate for you?
No, don't print it, laminate it, because it'll be on the back seat.
Okay, I'll get you electronic first.
But I think something like this, very clear and simple, additional funding, and then add schools that the district is going to supplement.
Right.
That would be helpful.
Sure.
And armed with that information, you're able to readily articulate those types of.
This is pretty aggressive when you look at.
It's very impressive. I could not, District 3 could not be more delighted.
The problem is if you do well, you lose. Do you need to